I'm Anthony, and in this session I want to have a look at the linkage between business options, quality options and solutions, and development approaches, return on investment and total cost of ownership. Because quite often people look at the business options within, usually it's something you'll put in a business case, and want to know what the linkage is between that. We'll try and expand on some of the points around this and have a better understanding, hopefully. So, when we kick off a project through the first phase, requirements, start of a project, feasibility, whatever name you're going to call that first part, this is when we're starting to formalize the overall business understanding of the project information, and then get a feedback from the people who are going to build the solution for us, the suppliers, technical people, whatever it happens to be. And I use the word technical, not from an IT or mechanical point of view, but from a point of view of, do those people going to build your solution for you, or help you put the project together, really. So, the first thing usually is we start off with the business case. And in the business case, which we'll look in more detail in another session, there'll be information in there about why we're running it, the reasons, the rationale behind it, the vision we expect to get out of it. And then the what, which will be the beneficial change we anticipate that the project will deliver, or supposed to be delivering. There'll be other elements in there, times, budget, etc. And one other element that's going to be in there are the business options that we have. Business options. And what we're looking at here really is the how much. The how much. How much do I need to do? How much have I got for what I need to do? Because really, this is what the business are looking at. What am I investing in this project? And therefore, how much budget would I need to have in it? But not only that, what am I expecting to get back from a return on my investment? So that's very much linked to the return on the investment in this case. Return on investment. Right. Now, what I would like to do, first of all, is go through a little bit of a sort of domestic scenario to explain a few things, and then we'll revisit that in more detail as I go, and I'll put the elements around what we've just been talking about. Okay, so, simply, you're in your house and you decide that the kitchen is a little bit tired, you've been there about 10 years, and it needs a refresh. Now, of course, the first thing you want to think about is, how much money have I got in the piggy bank that I want to spend, that I have to spend? Because there's also a bit about how much do I want to spend, which we'll look at in a moment. But how much have I at the moment got in my pocket to be able to spend on changing in the kitchen? Now, how much you have also might decide, therefore, how much you need to have from a point of view of, what do I actually want to do in the kitchen? How much do I need to change? Right? So if you know you've only got a certain limit of funds, like £2,000 or whatever it is, that rather limits you already, and you might say, well, I can't change all that. That's the limit. Right? Therefore, you've got to look at how much do I need to do. Okay? If you can get more money, then that's a different thing, and that's looking at the equity. And that comes back out of, what do I want to do with the house? What's the overall view here from the project perspective? Am I doing up the kitchen because I want to have a nice kitchen for another 10 years? Do I want to do it up because I want to sell the house? Right? Have I got money to put a brand new kitchen which will add more equity to the value of the house is selling it? Or do I just need to give it a very quick short-term lick of paint right now, because I'm going to sell it? It won't make any difference to the value of the house, but it'll just mean I've got it looking a bit more fresh and make it more sellable. So a lot of these things are going through your head, right? And if you notice, linked to that is, what am I going to do, is linked to the type of solution I want to have in place, the quality of the kitchen I want to have in place. Do I want to completely rip it out and put a brand spanking new kitchen in place? Or if I'm going to sell it and I know I won't get much back on the value of the house, it's not worth spending that money, I will just go and change, say, the cupboard doors and then give the walls a refresh on paint for whatever it is. So these are quite two extremes with places in between on how much do I need to do in this case. Right? What type of solution do I need at the end of it? Right? Then linked to that is, therefore, depending on that, how much have I got, what type of development approach, how am I going to go ahead and produce that kitchen? Do I do the work myself? Do I get somebody in to help me do it? Or do I completely hand it out to some contractor? And that depends on the type of solution you're going to have in place as well. So all these things are considered as we go through this point. Now, quite early on the project, we might not have all that pretty well defined, or decided, I should say, but we will want to define some of it in more detail at this point. Because two things we've got to understand is how much do I have or might need to have, and what type of quality solution do I need to have in place? Because that will link to the development approach, but it'll also look at whether that can be achieved if it's viable by the people who are going to supply you with the solution. So that's also something we need to consider. So first of all, let's write this all up again and review what we've just looked at. I know there are a lot of words, but let's have a look at what we mean. So first of all, how much have I got in the piggy bank? Or how much do I think I might need depending on what type of solution I want and what that can work on my investment? So the next thing to consider is the type of quality of the solution I want in place, the quality of the solution I want in place. Now, there are three different levels here that we can look at. So the first one is really a full functioning solution. So I want a full supportable functioning solution, full supportable, maintainable solution, from day one, right? So from day one, right? Now, in that case, that also has an impact on the cost. So the project costs, right, could be high. Right, think about your kitchen. If I'm going to put a brand spanking new kitchen completely, the cost of that is quite high. Right? Now, how that is represented within the project and the overall cost within the operation, from capital costs, operational costs, whatever, that depends on the organisation. Because that means that you've got to spend a lot of money out during the project to buy the kit. Right? But what it does mean, post-project costs will be low, if not zero. By that we mean is that maintaining and supporting the solution after the project solution has been handed over, the deliverable has been handed over, is going to be pretty low. The idea is to be pretty low, right? And the reason for that is that what we want from here is the total cost of ownership. Because at the end of the day, depending on how that is divvied up from a project cost point of view, and therefore the post-project and how they want to work out that from their return on their investment has an impact on the return. Right? So this gives them food for thought about what type of options do I have in place right now about the amount of money I need or ought to get. So that's the first one, right? Fully supportable from day one. Now the next solution is deliver now, right? Deliver something now, because I need to get something out there now for a couple of reasons. One, I'm trying to beat the market. I'm trying to beat the competitor to get something out there right now, right? Or I don't have a lot of spondoolies right now. I don't have a lot of money, but what I do want to do is get something changing right now, at least get something looking a bit better than it was before. Or I want to test the solution. Now, this is a little bit different to doing piloting within the project. This is getting something out there and seeing how the overall solution might work afterwards as a complete deliverable, and then beef it up in further projects. So this is a little bit different to doing deployment within the project. So deliver now and re-engineer after or later. Now from that point of view, it means the project cost is medium, in a sense, project costs medium, maybe even low, and the post project, right, will also be medium, and you could argue high in relative terms, because now what I've got to do, I've got to get the team back on board, I've got to get the project up and running again, and that has a cost, that's an overhead in itself to do that. So the project cost of delivering a sort of reasonable solution right now is good, right, and therefore reasonably sort of medium, even low, and then we'll have to get back and do it later. So with the kitchen scenario, for instance, what I might do right now is I'll just go and change all the cupboard fronts, right, and give it a lick of paint. In a couple of years or a year, when I've got a bit more money, I might go and change all the appliances out. Then after that, I might go and extend the kitchen over another few years. So again, you see, it goes back to how much have I got right now, how much equity is in the solution I've got, and what do I see about my return on investment, and how I see the solution being built. So a lot of these things are considered as we go through, right? And then the third type is short-term tactical. In that, right now, I just want to get something out there. It's got no life after it. Like say a monthly campaign, a new competition or a monthly campaign on your website, for example. Or I've got a document I need to get out there to have a certain purpose, whatever it happens to be. Or in the kitchen scenario, quite frankly, all I want to do is give it a quick lick of paint. I've only got a few bob, give it a quick lick of paint. And at that point, I'm selling the house anyway, so my concern for the after support is not really there anymore. Somebody else will have that situation. And I don't have the money as well. Sometimes you don't have the money to do something. Short-term, tactical, right? So of course, from a project cost, it's low because I'm just providing a very simple solution. Project costs low, and post-project low to maybe even zero. So we could say low to even zero, right? If I'm just going to put a one-off page on my website to advertise a competition for the moment, right? I'll probably get George around the corner of my desk to do the work, and it costs us nothing. We're not going to maintain. It's only going to be there for a month, and then we'll pull it off the site again. So again, it's a low one. And all these three all have an impact, therefore, on the costs of the ownership, which then has an impact on the return on the investment. So this is something else to consider. So very early on, we look at the different options we may have from a point of view of the business options, the quality of the solution I want to put in place at the moment, what sort of options do I have here related to that? Because obviously, you know, if I feel I need to put something in like I need to deliver now, I might have to get certain money out of the bank or look at what equity I've got in the house, for instance, relative to the kitchen. But again, with the business looking what they've got in their own particular coffers at the time that they can put out onto the project. All this links to one final thing, because now we look at how am I going to build it. So now we have the development approach on how do I build the solution, right? So this is how to build the solution. So if we work backwards from short-term tactical, one-off page, like we said, we can get this built in-house by a local chap in the marketing department or whoever, right? We don't need to do much more than that. Very simple. If you want to just change your cupboards and lick a paint, you could probably do that. Go to the local hardware shop, buy the paint and do the job yourself. It's very simple. When it comes to deliver now, you might engage some people with a bit of more experience, share the work between you because it just depends on what you do, and then depending on the solution afterwards, engage different personnel to help you with that. When it comes to a fully supportable, maintainable solution from day one, then if that's your kitchen, you're likely to go down to the local bathroom or kitchen specialist who will help you design it, help you with the contractors, help you buy the equipment, and they'll do most of the work for you. So it's out of your hands. You might want to project manage it, but that's up to you. But at the end of the day, really, this is the difference between them, right? And that's the project approach. So we could put in-house, for instance, in-house, tactical one, bespoke system, really full design as we saw in the first one, off the shelf, for instance, off the shelf, right? All sorts of ways, but that's how I'm going to go and build it. Right. Remember, there are two things we need to consider quite early on in the project is how we're going to run the project from a project approach point of view, the management of it, by reporting, connections, communications, the style of the delivery we're going to have within it, and the type of general approach you're going to use throughout it. Right. The development approach is looking at how I'm going to get the resources to build the solution I'm putting in place, depending on the type of quality I want. Right. And again, because that will also have an impact from a point of view of how I'm going to do this for the project costs itself, right? Because obviously if I was going to get, one of my colleagues to do the work, the project cost is pretty low as opposed to going down and getting, a company that does bespoke websites for you. In that case, you're going to get you're going to be high costs on the project. So this all depends on how you look. So this is the link. Business case for the options. define earlier on, work out what sort of quality solution you might have to have in place, depending on how much, your ROI and your total cost of ownership, the type of solution you need, depending on what you're going to do with the project at the end, like the kitchen, and therefore give you an indicator on how I'm going to go and build that solution for it to deliver the solution at the end. Because again, that has an overall impact. Define these earlier on, but obviously by the time we come to start the delivery, we need to make some decision. And that's what we're doing in the second phase. If you look at the session on the life cycles, the second phase is about building enough information to make a decision on how much do I need, the type of solution I want to have now, and how I'm going to develop it. But one key thing, it is about that moment in time. You can still review that as you go through the project. Do not be afraid to change. It's just making sure the change is controlled properly, not change control and wrapping people up and controlling it that way, but making sure we get the right authoritative sign off and then people understand, making an informed decision on what that's about. This is just controlling it that way in a proper manner.